we're going to be going over the beginning of doing a backend. We have already set up our FullStack app. It's just right now it's just the front end that we actually built out. So Anna's going to show us doing our own custom backend, and I'll go ahead and let her get started on that.
All right, I'm probably going to stop my video because it's probably making my internet lag pretty bad. So, but I'm going to share my screen. One moment. All right, you can see my screen?
Yep.
Great. All right, so this is GitHub. This is very common for people to put their code up here, and organizations can put their code up here. This is from a previous meetup. This is Life at Home. Violet got this started back when COVID started up, and she saw a need and wanted to take some action. So this is actually the front end code, and we've already gone through the front end. There's other meetups that have that, so just to let you know, that's available if you are excited about what you see on the screen. This is more the magic that happens behind the scenes, if you will, that basically gets the data out of the database and propagates it up to whatever service wants to use it, whether it's a mobile app or a web application or a website or something else. You can actually just integrate with that, and makes it easy for integrations. So this is the projects tab of the Life at Home, and I just made this new project because we don't really have a backend yet. This is like from scratch. So well, it's already stored in Firebase. That's still a reasonable backend, but this is we're going to be learning Python and Django. So I have a diagram here, just kind of for an overview before we dive in. I'm going to kind of walk you through the high level of what's going on so that you can follow along. So you're not like, what's the end goal here? So if I go to a website, google.com, that is a GET request. There's basically HTTP actions, and you notice, the HTTP, at the front of any of these websites. What does that mean? It's actually a protocol to send and receive data. So this is we're basically going to be doing a GET request to see our data, and we'll also be learning about the other methods for HTTP actions. As you use a browser, you're doing GETs all the time. So whether you're getting images or resources, and actually something that's pretty cool, so to give you a little context, there's always things being sent in this network tab, no matter what browser you're on or what website you're on. So it's always kind of fun to see what's being sent. You can get into some fun like security stuff here. This is what's loading that. Like there's some previews, but this is the request URL, and the request method is GET. You get a status code, and there's not really much being sent with it. There's no other information here, but we're going to be seeing, that's basically what's going on, is we're going to be making our own request to our endpoint with a GET, and we'll see a status code come back. There's various different response codes, and we can go over that at the end, or I can link it in the Slack if we run out of time. But yeah, that's it's kind of cool to peel back the layers of what's happening here. There's a lot of other static content that gets served over the web, like images. They have their own content delivery network that's called a CDN. So lots of other stuff. Anyway, ramble. So here's the resources endpoint that we're going to be making. We're going to be doing a get to that. And here's basically, these are separate files and classes that we'll be going over. The URL says, here's the route to what we're trying to get. And you can have all sorts of different, you can specify all sorts of different URLs. It's basically up to you, but we'll show you what's RESTful and what's not. And then the view set is the layer that says, okay, what HTTP methods do you want to do? So do you want to create a resource? Do you want to edit a resource by doing, there's a put and patch, and we'll go over that. Do you want to get a resource? And do you want to get, or do you want to get a list of resources? So I don't have to just get one at a time, I can get multiple. And just so you know, resources, when we're talking about this, just orient you here. Oh shoot, 1 second. I'm logged in here. This is what we have so far for the Firebase backend that we were working with just to get to this point with the UI. So we literally called it resources, which is funny because REST, which actually I should know what the hell it means. REST API. What does that mean? Representational state transfer. I never use that, but it's probably on an interview question somewhere. They literally call it a resource, but we could call this anything. We could say this is, I don't know, a type of resource. It just happens to be relevant to COVID, so we're saying it's a resource, but we could say it's an activity. So an activity is a type of resource, or this has websites in it. You know, there's all sorts of different things. So that's just a happy coincidence, and you'll probably understand more in the future. So then we move to the serializer. That's where all of the data is parsed from how the route and the view set receives the information. And turns it from raw JSON blobs, which we'll talk about what that is. For those who are more visual. This is a JSON blob, so it just has a bunch of information in it. And we'll work with that soon. And it converts that to a way that the model can receive it so that it can be ultimately saved to the database. Or if it gets a request to get a GET, it goes through the serializer, grabs the information from the model layer, which the model layer then grabs it from the DB, and then comes back, and then back through the line. So the model is basically, it's a way to structure your tables. And there's a lot of other benefits. Basically, Django provides a really awesome object representation model, or ORM. So you don't have to write all this raw SQL to get it out or to manipulate things in the database. They make it really easy. So it actually is a lot more fun than SQL, in my opinion. But also means that I don't know as much SQL as I probably should if I go for an interview, because I rely on it too much. So, and then, yeah, the model layer actually is really cool because it can generate migrations, or generate, basically is like a tooling structure to make a table. So we're going to see how that works very soon here. All right. That's the name of the table, is resources, resources, and you'll see why. Any, like, I know it's a lot, so I guess if there's any like really pressing questions, please let me know. I should check the chat just to make sure. Huh. Where's my chat? Show chat. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is where we're going to be typing. So hopefully you have Python 3 installed. If not, do not fret. You can catch up as we go, but really keep paying attention, and it'll be all good. So we're going to make a brand new project. This is when we're going to go to our Django REST framework tutorial, and we'll use the beginning pieces of this first, but then after that it's all on us. So, but be careful. This we're not naming our project tutorial, nor are we naming the app quick start. So just pay attention to that. So we're going to make directory, and there's probably an equivalent for you if you are on Windows. So make directory LEH underscore backend. It's important as an underscore. Oh, sorry, I cheated. I'm going to remove my old one. Okay. And I'm going to change directory into the newly created folder. Make this bigger for you guys. And so now I'm in my folder, as you can see. I'm going to use Python to create a virtual environment. And I have really cool tools to make this a lot more seamless of a process, but I'm just going to not confuse you guys and use this. If you guys are excited about Python, I can also give resources on that as well to make this easier. So now I'm going to activate my virtual environment. Virtual environment is to it's basically like a little container or directory structure that provides all of the information needed to, all of the packages that you've installed, so that like if you switch between one project, like the Life at Home backend, and then you decide later on that you want to do another Django backend for your own project or whatever. We might have different dependencies, like different versions of packages in ours that you may not want to install, and they might conflict with each other. So this way it's all wrapped up in one area, so you can have different versions of the same package on your system, and they pertain to the right piece. So now that I've activated it, you can see it in your command line, so you know you're in it. So if I go to the next line, I see that I'm always in that. So now we're going to actually install our dependencies, or our packages. So first of all, Django. And just so you know, Django is a server-side application. You can actually make your own FullStack website with Django. We're using it as a backend, but you can, you can make HTML templates and everything here if you want to. You just are using it for a different purpose. So now I'm going to install Django REST framework. And this is where we need to pay careful attention. There's a trailing dot at the end of this, and instead of tutorial, we're going to name it LAH. So everywhere. Just gonna check the chat. You guys are welcome to actually build this with me. I really would. I think that you get the more out of it if you did that. If you can't keep up, that's okay. But like, it's funner that way, you know, instead of just watching somebody do it. And if you get stuck at some point, you can still you know, just let us know and ask a question, and we'll help with that. So. And if you haven't gotten to this point yet, you can just follow along with this. And I actually have all of the information here if you want to keep going with it. Okay, so start project, LAH dot. So dot means current directory. Dot means parent directory. So now I'm going to change directory into the new, basically that generated a folder. It's a project that has all of the relevant structure needed. So it generated settings pi, URLs pi, WSGI pi, and ASCII pi. And we're going to be paying special attention to URLs pi very soon here. But first we're gonna create our app. So in Django land, there's a lot of different apps you can create, and basically it keeps everything that is a certain coding concern in one area. That's all it is. And it makes it more like a library instead of one ginormous monolith. If you don't know what that means, that's fine too. Django admin, start app, resources, and then cd ... which is back to the parent directory. So I have this little handy command line reference to know where I'm at all times, because I get confused as hell. I've posted it inside of general if you want to take a look at any point. But yeah, super helpful. So PWD, I'm gonna see, I'm in my own, this is gonna look different for you guys, but just make sure it has LAH backend at the end. And not gonna pay attention to all the packages we installed earlier. That's all the setup tools stuff from the virtual environment. And so it generated all of this, all of these files for us, so we don't have to get crazy. Like we actually have a starting point for a lot of things. Coding didn't used to be this easy, just so you know. If you find it hard, we all do, but dang, like the people who came before us, they had a hard time. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, actually, where are those migrations at? I guess they're installed by default. I wanted to show you the migrations, but basically, to get started, we're gonna be using this manage pi. It's basically a command manager that has all sorts of handy tools. So there's already gonna be migrations that are within the Django package that will basically create the structure for our users. This is where I'm going to use dbeaver. I put that into the Slack channel. I'm going to go ahead and put that in Zoom if you wanted to continue working with it and you would see it. Also, good to download that. Postman, we're going to be using that pretty heavily. And I'm going to put this over here. So I'm going to create a new database connection. Sqlite. We're going to start out with Sqlite because that's what it starts with. There are much better databases out there, but this is what we got. Oh, I don't. Okay, yeah, browse. So I don't think the Sqlite has been generated yet until we run that migrate command. So migrate, watch this output. Now there's content types, which is very, like that's more of the system itself, but auth, there's a bunch of admin tables, and these are all of the things it's doing for us to have users in the system. So we don't even have to worry about that to get started. And they have like the sessions table automatically out of the box. So there's nothing else you have to do here. And we will create our own migrations shortly. Let's see. Here's the Sqlite database that it created for us. So I'm going to browse to that. Okay, I think that's it. I'll download the driver, and now we can see all our tables that it generated. So if I want to see, there's no groups, there's no permissions yet, but you can see like the structure of the tables, right? So it's pretty cool. This is the structure of a user. So you can see all of the like regular stuff like password, username, first name, a whole bunch of stuff that we don't have to, we get out of the box for free basically. If you ever know where you're at with your migrations, because you can, basically they run in order, you can see what's applied here. It's kind of handy. It's a system table. And you can see your sessions if you are curious if you're logged in or not. So I think this stuff, like, people just skim over a lot, but I think it's really helpful to know what the heck is going on when you're running these really helpful commands, so you can kind of get the fuller picture, because nobody told me that when I was getting started. All right, so back to our tutorial, and this is where we create a user. This is going to be something that is used by us. We can manage, you never want to commit any code that actually like has a username and password in it up to GitHub, unless it's just generic. So, and this can always be changed. So I'm just basically following what they have here. And I'm going to just use the word password because we're just developing locally. I know it's too common, but this is not going to be what's on our actual deployed backend. Maybe we can have our next session be all about deploying it, and we can have security addressed in that, where there's actually a super user with good credentials and everything. So yeah, just keep it simple for yourself while you're developing. You don't need to have anything crazy on there. Nobody's going to be super crazy about that, because it's just you. All right, so I'm going to skip a lot of this other stuff because we're not using these view sets. Like, you can, this basically is showing all of the users, or being able to have an ability to create users through the view set, but we're going to focus on resources today. If you're curious about it, it's all here, so it's really easy to follow. So I'm going to open the backend folder, and we'll see our folder structure. That's our environment, that was our virtual environment that we generated, so that's not really that interesting. But here's our resources app. And so we're going to be navigating to the settings file. And in allowed hosts, you want to put this asterisk so that you can allow yourself and anything. Basically, this is this 42 ASCII character. Everything. And we're going to add to the list of installed apps. I think it's REST framework. I might have skipped ahead a little bit. Yeah. So very important to do that. And then REST framework is here. I'm going to add this. These are settings in particular to REST framework. And it's just as simple as that. We have pagination right out of the gate because it's a class that's included in this library. So I'm going to do, I think that's about it for right now on that. So we're not going to be using this URL for much longer here. And now it's time to create a model. So based off of our fields that we've been using, this is kind of just, the Firebase is really awesome because you can put basically like free-form JSON blobs in here, and it will take care of it for you. It doesn't always have to have every single field, which is can be kind of problematic if you have things that are relational to each other, and they are expecting certain fields to be there. So by doing a relational database that's SQL based, it makes it more locked down to a certain structure and form that gives us an understanding of the contract more easily than if you're just kind of spitting these documents in here. But it is really awesome to just get up and running and go. So we're going to be basing it off of this. And so now what I'm going to do is create a model. And we're going to call it resource. And description is one of our fields. And we're going to have a length. This is actually kind of boring stuff, but it's actually really helpful to get this right earlier in time instead of down the road. One thing we can do is just to get started, this is could be a text field, and the expandable, it could be any length, but really you want it to be a little bit, you don't want a whole like novel in there, right? So there's always a limit. So a lot of times a common length is 256 characters. And status active. So it looks like there's another collection called status here, and we can see what's here. Oh, we got 2 pendings here. Okay. I like to make another field, or sorry, another file called field choices, so I can keep all of my choices in one file together, and I can reference it throughout the code base. Django model, not the form field. Oh, it's sorry. It's going to be a car field with choices in there. And I'll put this in here for you guys to see. Equals. This is an array, or sorry, a list of tuples. So the value on the left side of the tuple is the actual value that's stored in the database. That's like more it's like a programmatic key. It's not going to be all formatted for human consumption. It is literally for us to be able to understand at a glance, but is for the computer to use in the future. So active is perfect, and if I wanted it formatted all nice, it would be active with caps. And then and you want to have commas at the end of your tuples, or at the end of your list for style. But if you ever have a tuple with just one thing in it, like I could just do closed or something like that, this will not work over time. You have to have a comma. So just little Python tips here. And as you saw, like there's an ability for sometimes with Firebase, like, or I think DynamoDB is the AWS equivalent. You can end up adding, something that's the same as each other by accident because it's very wrong. But we're gonna eliminate that from happening because we'll already have the choices very locked down to what they are. And so you don't have duplicate data and stuff like that. All right. So we'll go back to our model and reference it. So you want to keep your Django related and Django REST framework related imports at the top. We're going to import from field, actually I think it's, field choices. And actually, I should rename this to status. And we'll see what the max length is. It's 7. I'm probably gonna say 16, just in case we add other ones. And choices equals And we can add a default here. Oops. That's right. That's some. I have little helpers that I've written and or I've been making use of in the backend that aren't here. So I guess I'll just stick to the basics. So we'll scroll this all out. And what this is doing is making it so we're not using what we call magic strings. If you're just using like raw characters, like raw strings in your all over your code base, if you want to change it in one spot, I can go right here to change active to activated if I want to, you know, instead of having to change it everywhere in the code base where you're referencing that. So now I can say, yeah, import status and active. This way we don't have to specify it every single time if we're making a model or we're making our resource. Okay, and I think that looks good. And then websites. I guess they're kind of like tags. One second, sorry. Where'd it go? There it is. So I think that's all for readers. What we can also do is make the other migrations for, you know, we're going to make separate classes for tags and websites. But for that's good enough to get started. So what we're going to do now is, what's really cool is this model has everything inside of it needed for Django to understand how to generate a migration file. So we're going to do that handy manage command again and do make migrations. Oops, I must have screwed that up. Oh. Huh. There we go. That's why. I needed some quotes around it. Huh. It doesn't like REST framework. Well, I guess I do need that REST framework documentation again. Ah, there's an underscore. Little things, little things. No changes detected. That's not true. So, that's the app name is resources. Oh, right, okay. So here's another thing. We have to add our app to the installed apps. Weird, I know. It should just know that it's there, but I guess not. Okay, we got a different error. Module name resources. Aha. Resources.apps.resources config. Basically, it's referencing this resources config here. It's been a long time since I've had to do that. I usually am working inside of an app that's already made. Resources config. See, even after 10 years, you get stuck. And the struggle is real. So it doesn't mention anything about this here. So this has to do with how it's structured. So let's see. So, all right, so I think I need to go back a step. This is like some of the same stuff here. Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast. I'm just trying to get to the part where we actually do that app. So we did our start app, resources. This is if you were using, instead of view sets, which is part of Django REST framework, you would use views, and you could do a website. Well, Bill. Resources, apps, resources config. Sorry, guys. No module resources. Yeah, I tried it. Okay, just lah.resources. Yeah. Ah! Mary, my friend. You have saved the day for everyone here. The
Aw.
struggle is real for me, but you have made my life better. I wish I could give you a present or a gift.
Oh, thank you. I typed it above, but I think it kind of got lost, so I just thought I'd type it again.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, being on live chat, sometimes I miss some things, so I really appreciate you being
No
present.
worries. No worries. Happy to help.
Nice. Are you a Django developer, or you just, threw it out there and this is new for you?
I'm always learning, and so I hit lots of errors.
Atta girl. Nice. Okay.
And I literally just got here, so at first I didn't even know what the error was. I literally just came in the meeting, so I was like, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh wait, okay, now let's see.
Yeah. This is a lesson that half of this stuff is just persistence, Feel it at the end of the day. Just try it out. So lots of trial and error, and now we have the migration. So this is the file that instructs Django what to do to create a table for you. So the create model creates a table, and the name of the class is resource, and we're in the resources app, so it'll be resources _ resource. We don't have this table yet, but we're about to run this migration, and it'll put these fields into the database for us with these constraints. All right. So once more with feeling, migrates. Okay, that was fast. And I'm gonna refresh this, and we'll see our new table. So we saw resources, resource, and you can see ID, description, name, and status. All right, we're in business. You know what? I guess I'll come back to that, but we don't want to start out without an ID that's unique, because what it normally does is it auto-increments the ID, and that's where when you're building like a platform, just having a number ID isn't so great, because if you ever need to migrate a row out of a table and put it somewhere else that has the same exact table structure, because it's a different environment. Say you want to import some resources from your production instance to your your demo environment, so that they can see a sample project or something like that, sample resources. Then they might already have 30 records in there, and you're trying to insert a row with the ID of 3 or something like that. Well, there's already a 3 in the database, so how do you insert it? So you have to do some really funky table logic or SQL logic to get it in there. So we'll fix that in a little bit, and I'll show you how to alter it. So now we're going to do a tag. This is going to be really basic, nothing crazy. Now, I'm actually curious, is there like a URL field? Let's see. Field types. URL field. Yay! Oops. What did I put? Okay. Let's make this one a lot bigger. Okay. So we're gonna do it again. We're gonna make the migrations for the resources app, and it's gonna create those models. So we'll go look at this, and we'll see those models are created. And watch our database. We have resources, resource, but can anyone guess what the next two tables are going to be? Put it in the chat if you know, because we had resources, resource. Resources is the app name, resources the model name. Bueller? Oh, no one wants to participate? Oh, okay, fine. That was going to be a fun pop quiz. Okay, the answer is resources underscore tags, tag singular, and resources underscore website. So, oops, no more migrations. It's going to be migrate. Make. And so now if we refresh our tables, tag and website. Simple ones. Okay, so now it's time to take a glance. Now that we have our models built, we're going to go kind of the opposite direction. So to orient you, we have just made our database tables from the model, and the model is resource, right? And we had a couple other models. Oh, you know what would be nice is if we actually related those two together. So so we want to create a relationship of tag to resource. And this is going to be a foreign key. So oh my goodness, that was a long scroll. I'm sorry, that was crazy. I'll just Google Django foreign key. Where are you, foreign key? Okay, here we go. So come on. There we go. I got it on both screens now, or on the same screen. So I'm going to use this to understand. Now, we just talked about magic strings, but the truth is that Django uses a lot of magic strings. Resource is our class name, and this onDelete thing is basically saying what is the action that happens whenever somebody deletes this resource. It's kind of weird because it's talking about what is going to happen downstream, not the actual not whenever the tag gets deleted. It's just going to be gone from the database. But whenever the resource is deleted, what happens to me? I think. Let me just make sure. Yeah, the object is referenced by a foreign key is deleted. Django will emulate the behavior of SQL constraints specified by the onDelete. And so I don't want to delete all my tags if the resources that are associated with them get deleted. Like for reference, these tags look like something like this: language, entertainment, NASA, music, kids. So this is going to be pretty awesome. So I'm just going to say, and I want to keep those around. So I'm just going to say models dot null. I think it's like, yeah, set null. Yeah, it's models dot. All right, we're going to do the same thing on website. Actually, no, we're going to actually cascade that because that's actually only associated with the resource. So that one we will cascade. All right, let's see if we get any errors. We're going to make our migrations. Oh, field specifies set null but cannot be null. So if we do that, then we basically need to set to be able to do null equals true, and that means this can be nullable. And if you don't know what any of the nullable means, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to see it in action. So. But we always want a website to be associated with a resource, so we're not going to make it nullable for that. So let's try that. One off default. I'm trying to add a non-nullable field resource or website without a default. Oh, I see. I do want it to be associated with a resource, but I don't want to have a set to a resource whenever I first make it. And I am going to see what I normally do here. Man, I'm so spoiled seeing what everybody else does in a project. That's why it's really important to see what in some of the projects so you can learn from other people or learn from the code that you're working with. Let's see what they do. The default is, oh, they have like a, let's see. They do some really crazy stuff here. Class tag. You know, I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to move on because like we can come back to this, but that'll be really fun to do in another session. You know, there's that tendency to want to do everything at once, but yeah. Okay, so that's made, and it already deleted the model for me and added that field. If I ever just wanted to have like all one big migration, I could do that, but I'm just showing you how easy it is to add things and to move them. So, all right, let's get into the URLs. So there's actually like this admin path where they actually have like a way to see a lot of the fields that are in the database here. I'm going to add some things here. And I'm going to go back to here. And I'm going to copy paste some of this stuff. And instead of tutorial, it's going to be lah.resources. Not now, please. Sorry. Yep, still on a call. Really nice. Yeah, it's going to be the same as our data structure. Did Donna drop off?
Yeah, I was about to tell you guys. Her video just cut out. I messaged her. She's trying to connect again. She should be right back on. I was just giving it a second. I was thinking she'd be here, but yeah, one sec.
Man.
Oh, there she is.
That sucks. I gotta get my internet looked at. Ever since there was like this thing that went down in my area recently, it's been total shit. So sorry about that, guys. So where was I? I'm making the path now, and I'm including my router.urls. So this is a fancy way to make a router that's unique to that app. A lot of times we'll make other routers and then include those in this path, and it just keeps it really nice. And what this does is I'm basically creating the ability to go to this particular endpoint. So resources will now be something available to me. So yeah, let's go ahead and try that. Well, it's time to run the server. Obviously, I need my view set first, so they have some really cool built-in stuff called model view set that includes all the different ways that you can sorry, I didn't call. All the ways that you can edit or delete or update, read your data. So I need that one. I don't need these models because I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use let's see, from models, import resource. And that's going to be called resource view set. And a query set for right now is going to be everything. But you know, you could basically do some filtering. So if somebody, I don't know how this would apply to our project because we want everything to be free for people to find things. Let's see what I can order by. But you could actually, filter by the status. We could actually filter by active, actually. That would be awesome. So instead of pending, which might be something that, maybe like kind of a draft that somebody's making, if they're adding a resource, then, they'll only see it if they're active. So it's always helpful to go back to the model and see what you have to work with. And let's see, what do I want to order by? I guess ID or PK. Now I won't be able to order by ID once it's not numerical. It'll be like a uniquely generated identifier. Remember what we talked about, if you wanted to migrate a row of a database to another row that has the same system, you would want to be able to do that. So serializer class is, we haven't made that yet, but basically a serializer is, if we go back to our view, our high level thing, the serializer is what parses the JSON blob that you've sent in your payload and translates it to the Django ORM, or object representation model, to be saved into the database. And it's kind of confusing until you work with it, but we will do that shortly. I'm going to add a new file called serializers.py. And we haven't made our serializer class, so we'll make it now. Again, the JSON blob example, this is the type of stuff that'll be sent along. And if you've seen our previous front-end stuff, you'll recognize it very easily. So, serializers. And from models import class resource serializer. Oh, I like this hyperlinked model serializer. I'm gonna go ahead and use that. It basically gives you some links to be able to view the resources. So if for their example, they're getting users, and they want to be able to, if you just wanted to get that individual user, you could use this URL to go find it. So that's pretty cool, pretty nifty. See how it uses the ID, 1, 2. It could also be a string like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, that's what it automatically, you get it out of the box, man. It's so unbelievably simple, but hard at the same time because you don't exactly know what's going on under the hood sometimes. So back to our serializers. Meta is really awesome. We could have like a whole discussion on meta and what that means. But for now, we're just going to kind of skim over that because I don't want to overwhelm you. So you want to put the fields in. I'm just going to do all for now because, and that's a keyword to get all of the fields because we like it all. So now I'm going to do from serializers. Import resource serializer. Okay. Let's see what we broke. Time to do the run server. Yep, I knew I fucked something up. Should be here. Oh, I have an unapplied migration. Thank you. It told me, so I'm going to quit and I'm going to go ahead and run that so I can make sure I'm up to date. Awesome. Run server. All right. This is the fun part, guys. You made it with me through this craziness. Gotta close some tabs here. All right, so I'm gonna go to localhost sources. See if that comes back with anything. We don't have any results. That makes sense. So we've got our JSON blob that's coming back and telling us this is all the pagination. This is all done by the pagination class that we put in our settings. We get it out of the box. And there's no next resource or previous resource because we don't have anything. So let's go ahead and make something. This is a get. This is, I could go actually in our browser and, oh, that's pretty sick. Actually, this is, they have their own, instead of Postman, you can do it through here, and it's kind of like a little web client for you. But I wanted to just show you the raw data. But that's awesome. I forgot they have the Sqlite. pretty sweet. So we'll set the, and I'm using Postman, by the way, if you're curious what I'm doing. Where is my chat window so you can see you guys? If you're telling me something, chat. Aha. Nobody said anything yet. Okay, so we're gonna do a post. This is how you create a new resource in REST. Now we're gonna do raw and JSON, so it'll be beautiful and it'll show us exactly what we did wrong if we don't submit the right things. So let's go back to our models and see what we can send in. Description, name, and status. Okay. What's an example of resource? Hey, women who code. I like that. You do this while you're quarantined and locked down. And status is active. And we're sending in the computer representation of it. Remember, not the prettified one. No, I'm not going to say that. Okay. Okay, cool. It gave us a 201 created. So 200 means accepted. It's like generally what you get when you do a get on something. And actually, I'll
So you're sure it's telling the truth today?
Yes, it is. Hey, I'll turn on my camera for a second so you guys can see. Ah, where's my stupid? Yeah, so this is an awesome shirt by RunScope. Everything's going to be 200 okay. A lot of monitoring solutions use the 200 okay to understand if the application is up. Because if they get like a 500 or 504, that means no bueno. Anything 500 and up, it means your system's down and users are unhappy with you, most likely. So, I wanted to turn my camera off so that I don't overload. There we go. Perfect. So I was on the monitoring team at GoDaddy, and we had to aggregate millions of alerts, and that was a fun time. So I'm going to make a couple more so you can kind of see a list and see what that looks like. So what's another resource we can add for who's doing something fun besides coding these days during lockdown? I'm going to do virtual martial arts. But I'll need a couple more, so I'll keep them coming. Where's my chat? Hello. There's your chat.
Learning to play guitar using YouTube.
Playing guitar?
Yeah, learning off of YouTube.
Yeah, nice. And we'll add some websites here to some and links to some good stuff. And so, yeah, so you have 2 active there. Let's add one that doesn't have, it's pending. So we'll see if our query set is filtering properly in our view set, right? So my martial arts instructor would be really not happy with me if I really said that way, but screw it. Oh no, our filter's not working. So, but I can now, if I click on that, it's pretty cool. It's hyperlinked. I can actually just go to the resources with that ID of 3 and get the information. So that's how things are linked around. And so whenever a front end is trying to get this information, instead of trying to store it all in the presentation layer of the UI, it just makes a request to this backend and gets the information. Usually it's in a list like this. But yeah, so I'm going to try to fix the. Oh, I didn't actually limit it. That would be why. We'll do .filter status equals active, and this is a really cool feature of the ORM. The objects manager is really a powerful tool to do aggregations and all sorts of things, but we won't get into that today. That would be a funner thing. Oh, connection refused. What did we break? Active is not defined. Actually, we can use our handy dandy field choices. Of course, we can't just write active and not have it be something that's defined anywhere. Ugh, I should know that. All right, now we're back in business. So that just didn't even, it wasn't even up at that point. So 200, okay. All right, and now we only have active ones. Yay! Fantastico. So now what I'm gonna do is include our tags. So we're going to get into the serializer, the layer that turns this JSON blob of stuff, well, the JSON blob here, into the model language that gets it from the database, or retrieves it from the database and puts it into JSON syntax. So it's like a two-way street. So I'm going to do another serializer. I'm going to call it inline tags serializer. Actually, oh yeah, hyperlink. I'll do the hyperlink. Yeah, that's cool. Although I don't know if I don't have a view set yet, so I'll just do model serializer. The hyperlinks won't even work if I don't have the view set up and all the URLs, but we can definitely go through the same process to do that, but in the interest of time, I'm just gonna make it simple. And, oops, I was trying to be helpful, my IDE. No, I'm having a hard time. Thank you. I swear I know how to code. Tag is not defined? Yeah, of course. So tag, import that. And tags is now going to be a new thing. And you'll see how this lines up in a second here. My handy dandy reference serializers. This is the quick start. I would like to go to API guide, serializer relations. Spell it out for me. Pop this bad boy in here. It's a primary key related field. So it's related off of the ID of the tag. And I'm doing many equals true because I want to get all the tags that are associated with the resource. Now, this is what it does to, when it's translated into our, oh, what did I do? Resource object has no attribute tags. Aha. So I forgot to do the related name piece inside of our models. Because I don't want to use the out-of-the-box related name set that they have. It's just a little too clunky looking. Okay. So it's not going to show anything yet because we don't have any tags. Oh. You know what? My bad. We're going to use this serializer. I think that's it. Nope, what did I fuck up? You gotta have this declared before that, so it knows what it is. Okay, tags is now a list showing up in this JSON. So what the fields does is it takes all of those fields and says, hey, the description, name, status, I want those here in this list of things, right? But you can add to that and you can have another serializer. I could use the out-of-the-box primary key related field that just gives me the IDs instead, but that's not really as fun as seeing all of the things that are inside of tags. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to add it to the database, which is totally cheating. Because normally we'd make another view set for tags, but in the interest of time, because I want to respect you guys, I'm just going to do it here. And I'm going to say fun. It's not really that descriptive, I'm sorry. And we'll associate it to Kaylee's thing. And actually, yeah, this is going to be a many-to-many field. We didn't talk about that because I didn't want to get too crazy with you guys. Let's see. So basically, this is referencing the resource ID over here, which if I see all of our, this is all of the stuff that's in the database now. So our request to the API is putting this in here with all of the things that we added. So I'm saying, oh, this is the food that come. My bad. I meant to do two. So this is kind of nice. I don't have to do like a ton of different SQL to update this. It's just here. Actually, it won't let me update for whatever reason. But, you know, IDEs, what are you going to do? Okay, so let's see if we see anything in here. Oh no, it didn't get it. What am I doing wrong? You know what I could do, actually? Every class has a string method, and I'm just going to say this is self dot think it's been a long time since I've done this, but self.new. Please don't break on me. Yeah, okay. And then I can actually, in the serializer, I can use this string related field that's out of the box. Because apparently I didn't do that right. I've been doing a lot of other things lately, so it's a little rusty, I guess. Oh, dang it. Why? Oh, you know why we're not seeing it, you guys? It's because we're not, the guitar is resource 3 and it's pending. That's why. Okay. Why won't it let me change this? Oh, I guess it doesn't have a hookup to a Sqlite. I see. Okay, well, we're gonna make another one. Okay. It wasn't actually a problem with my thing, I don't think, actually. Okay, that's cool. We got rock. That's actually in the format that we want. But just to show you, we could have done inline tag serializer instead and gotten all the fields. So the ID of the tag, the resource that it's associated with, of course it's going to be kind of a repeat. But yeah, this is actually even better, string related field. So you kind of ran out of time to do some of the other cool stuff that I would like to do, but I think this kind of leaves you in a good starting spot for you guys. And if you have any questions now, we have about 12 minutes for questions.
Hi everyone. I have questions, but I'm going to give everyone a chance to ask the normal questions first, and then save mine for last, because mine is just more of like an overall question with practically everything.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Awesome.
I wouldn't mind reviewing a few of the files where I couldn't keep up with the typing and talking.
I hear you. Yeah.
I think I have, you just added something to models.py that I didn't get. Cool.
Yep. You know what? I'm going to do a git init and put this up on GitHub right now so you guys can have it. And
Yeah, I don't think I could see that. Sorry, I don't think I could see that whole repository, but I might be missing something.
well, I literally just made it
Okay.
today. So while we were talking, all of the Django admin stuff, those are called commands that were making the files. So it generated on my computer.
All right. Well, no, I thought I saw one that was related to the one we had already been working on in GitHub, and I was like,
Oh, yeah, that's the front end.
okay, I thought I saw one that was like LHBE or something.
Oh, that's the project, but that's not the repo. So the project is actually kind of an issue tracker that you see
Right.
that's due, and yeah. So I haven't even hooked up this code yet to that yet, but you're on the right track. So I will very shortly, put that up there. Yeah, in the future, maybe what I could do is have the finished version up there and then have my, in process stuff on my own. I just didn't want them to diverge too much, but Violet does a really good job with that in her meetups. So I do admit that I could have put a little more time into this beforehand.
No, it's not even that. Like, you know your stuff. You just move real fast.
Oh shit! Sorry.
And you don't you don't talk to what you're coding when you code it. So like sometimes I'll look away, and then all of a sudden I see crap going in your like terminal window that you've just run some command, and I was like, oh no, I looked away. I don't know what just happened.
Well, that's also a product of being virtual. Yeah, it's nice to be able to. Have the presentation up at the front and be able to look at your screen and kind of more simultaneously dart between things. But if you're like opening your own windows and stuff, yeah.
You can see us with our confused looks. Can I see I think I need to see URLs and views, I guess. I have an issue there too. Okay, so. Serializer class. Mine is throwing some total fit about this.
Yeah.
Right.
Here, let me go ahead and review. Put this up on GitHub so you guys can see what I have locally on your own as well. Okay.
I don't really have any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you. I think it was a great tutorial, and I like seeing the different tools that you guys use.
Oh yeah. Thanks. I
just
like
with the Postman and the what is it, Beaver.
Yeah, it really speeds you up to have the right tools. Instead of like searching around and it actually makes you.
Yeah.
I think that makes you a 10xer. When they talk about, I don't really think that there are any people that do 10 times the amount of other developers. But one way to make yourself look like you're doing a lot more than other people is just to have your tools down pat, so you actually know where to look when you're debugging things and you broke it. And it just is so much faster to get stuff done.
Yeah, I wanna get better at just all the different tools that I'm using. Even Visual Studio, there's so many shortcuts, and the code snippets with different languages, and
For sure. Actually, I'm gonna make a new file here to not shove my virtual environment up here. This is a handy tool, a file called gitignore that helps you ignore stuff that it should only be local to your Python environment or your individual environment. Python, Django, Git. Yay. And I did a foo bar where I actually commented code. Don't do what I did. So it should be up on the organization's website in GitHub. Ladies, I'm going to go ahead and link to that in the chat. Here's all the files. So you can browse it. Well, if there aren't any specific questions right now, feel free to, if you think of it, or if you're still struggling to catch up with something, or something's not right. I am on Women in Code all the time on the Slack. So if you want to be in touch about it, just let me know, and I'm happy to help.
I have a quick question about the stuff on GitHub. If you were to like keep adding to this, would you change the branch from master to development on GitHub so that it would create a difference and then merge as you, okay.
Yeah, and we have a whole recorded session on that process for anybody who doesn't know what that means, to actually submit your code. The only reason I was on master is because I was doing a git init, which actually creates, it's the first time a repo is created. So instead of going through the GUI and adding the repository there and then trying to merge it up with what I have here, I just ran git init and then set the upstream origin, which is basically the little, it's the same thing as the, oh, I wonder, sharing my screen. There we go. If you ever were trying to download it with SSH or HTTPS, I'm using this, this string to set my remote origin so it knows where to go. And then I pushed with master because it's the first commit. I mean, there's no reason to branch off of anything. But yeah, going forward, I would take a branch off of master and work from there, and then submit a pull request with that branch from that feature branch into, I would probably make a development branch, honestly. And then we can, once we have the deploys tools, we'll be able to deploy to a website. So that actually, we were talking about doing the full life cycle for some of the DevOpsy folks. I don't know if we have, there were some DevOps, there was a DevOps lady for sure at one of our last meetups that was really excited to learn more in her field, but we basically are taking the project from the full life cycle, not just code, but seeing how you break it out and then also deploy it. So that'll be pretty fun. And if you guys want to contribute, if you want to ever go back and look at the front end, there's some really cool tickets that are low-hanging fruit for that. And I can also make some low-hanging fruit tickets for the back end as well to get you guys started. And when you contribute to a repository like this, it's a really big resume builder. If you're trying to get into the field, that's one of the fastest ways to learn. And basically, you learn a lot of things that you would normally learn on the job, and would be kind of a learning curve with all the support of Violet, Kaylee, and me